So it's official. JD is fighting back, and there are many a voice coming from mainstream outlets, from Hollywood influencers, saying, why don't you just give up the ghost? Why don't you just let all of this happen? Why don't you let this come and steamroll your life? Well, you know what I say to JD in this? I say, bravo, man. Bravo. That's what we're going to be talking about now. So hey there to all you wonderful folks. I hope you're having a fantastic day, because today you and I, we return to that wonderful world of JD updates. I would ask too, before we get started, if you would share this, if you would like, you would comment. That feeds the algorithm. It gets this news out there. And I can't stress this enough. This is not about celebrity. This is not about Hollywood. This is about right. This is about wrong. And somebody definitely has been wronged in this process. Now, as far as this fight goes, I need to clarify two things. Number one, this isn't JD versus a certain nameless person out there. That's going to be a title bout for 2021. Now, it's JD versus the Sun. This is a second appeal. And if you say, hey, that umbrella guy, a second appeal, get this. I mean, really drink this in and look at the lunacy to it. So the first appeal, it went to a Judge Andrew Nickel. If you think to yourself, hey, that umbrella guy, I think I know that name, that's because this is the judge that decided on the case. So I mean, really think about that. The judge that made a decision comes in and says, yeah, you know what, I'm not going to allow you to appeal. Quote, in any event, I do not consider that the proposed grounds of appeal have a reasonable prospect of success. Listen to this part here, too. And that is also the case so far as the grounds of appeal suggest that I erred in principle or in law. So he's saying, you know what? I didn't make any mistake. How dare you say that? And continuing, and there is not some other compelling reason why permission to appeal should be granted. So he initially says, you know what? I'm not going to let you go farther. I'm not going to let this stuff go anywhere past me. Now, the mainstream press, they not only applaud this decision, but they treat it like it's the end-all, be-all, because they hope that it will discourage people like yourself from talking about what's transpiring here. I mean, read this. Do you get the idea that you can continue to appeal? The actor had planned to appeal, but the Times is reporting this has been denied, with the judge saying it did not have, quote-unquote, a reasonable prospect of success, and he must pay an initial £628,000 legal costs to the Sun owner. News Group newspaper. You don't hear anything about conflict of interest. You don't hear anything about this going forward. Again, they want the man to give up the ghost. Now, unfortunately for them, they don't seem to know Captain Jack Sparrow at all. I mean, seriously, they don't seem to want to get that this has been an uphill battle, that it's about reputation, it's about trying to salvage occupation, and it's about speaking truth. It's also not about just winning in a specific confine. It's about winning hearts and minds, and yeah, it's going to continue on. Now, as far as this is concerned, the reason I left this upper portion here is because I want to encourage you. If you feel anything is misrepresented, if you don't believe any of this information, I want you to be able to go and to find it. You can see a case reference number here. You have A2/2020/2034, and you have the number across the top as well. That's how you track this stuff. Just go to that site I mentioned, type that number in, and you can find this and so much more. The title here, you have JD, you're going to have his name, versus News Group newspaper, that's NGN. We're also talking about the Sun and Dan Wooten. Those are the people represented, or the company represented there. Type permission to appeal. So you have that set up. He's going forward. The fight, it's not over. Appeal application from the order of Mr. Justice Nickel, High Court Justice, Queen's Bench Division, dated November the 16th, 2020, for permission to appeal. Hearing status, it's not been set up yet. Venue, it's going to be in London. Constitution is not yet signed. I would suggest, too, that you be loud about this stuff. Be very, very vocal about what the truth is. Because you know what? The mainstream, they're out there misrepresenting. And the person that's assigned to this, the one that made the decision before, yeah, about that person. What if I were to tell you that you can't easily unspool all of the conflicts of interest, associated with that person in this case. No, it takes a flow chart. Here's one of two conflicts of interest I'm going to provide you. This is Justice Nichols' son. By the way, I want to stress this. Do not engage or interact with any of these folks. I want to show you the miscarriage of justice. I have to lay it out this way because if you don't see it this way, then it's hard to understand. But when you lay it out, it becomes very, very clear. So you can see this post from February 16, 2015, saying, I'm off to see Camilla Palmer become an honorary QC. Last time I went to the QC ceremony, it was in 1995 for my dad. So they're talking about Justice Nichols. Again, so we're establishing that relationship, but you can find his name just laid out there many, many ways. 155% sure that's who this person is. You can see them talking about where they work too. This is very, very important about what we're saying here. Back at Talk Radio for my regular paper review slot with. So this is their regular item because this is their job. Okay, so what is this, by the way? Well, that's Talk Radio. That's with at Talk Radio. They are the home of, and you have a bunch of names here. Let's check out these because one is very important. You have Julia Hartley Brewer, Mike Graham, okay, Ian Collins, all right, Dan Wooten. Wait a minute, Dan Wooten. Oh, yeah, that's the guy that, along with the son, was actually in litigation with Johnny Depp. So, the son of the judge works with a person that is actually part of the litigation there. Or how about this second example? And again, this is showcasing why you got to go out and you got to fight. You can't give up the ghost and why you had to appeal more than once in this. Because here's Justice Nichols. Again, Justice Nichols is the person that had the appeal and made the primary decision, but he wrote a book with Jeffrey Robertson. Remember that name, Jeffrey Robertson. And in addition to that, Nichols was employed by Robertson's firm, Doughty Street, when appointed. Now, Robertson is Jen Robinson's mentor and employer. She works at Doughty Street. That person, they're a certain nameless person's counsel. So the person that represents this nameless person is attached to Jeffrey Robinson, who has plenty of attachments to Justice Nichols. Now, Jen Robertson brought that nameless person to a private dinner during trial. The attendees there were many attendees, but some of the attendees went Baroness Helena Kennedy, hostess Kathy Lett. Now, Kennedy was also with Doughty Street, so works with the same places here. Kathy Lett is Jeffrey's ex-wife, so we're talking about the ex-wife, this person going to a party that, is connected to all of that. Personal friend of Jen and mutuals Camilla Palmer's Justice Nichols' wife. So, in attendance to that is buddy of Justice Nichols' wife. But again, not a conflict of interest. Multiple news reports place this team of women working with and supporting that nameless person for years, from UN functions to published support during the trial. JD is in it to win it, but what exactly does that mean? Well, it's going to be a long trot, number one. You may not see a lot of things. Here's Nick Wallace, who had some expert coverage on this whole matter, to tell you what's going on. JD versus NGN update. As you know, the High Court judge who found against JD in the recent JD versus NGN libel trial refused him an opportunity to appeal the judgment at the High Court on the basis the appeal had no quote-unquote reasonable prospect of success. This opened the door to JD appealing directly to the Court of Appeal. He has done so. I'm trying to find out the process for applying to the court to see if I'm allowed the grounds of appeal, which he would have filed to trigger the application. The grounds it normally comes with a skeletal argument, which may have been filed alongside the grounds or may be filed later. Once both have been filed, there will be a response to the grounds and skeleton filed by the NGN. This is unlikely to be a quick process, and it's not certain any of the above documents will be released to non non-parties before any hearing. It is also possible there won't be a hearing, and the sole judge who decides whether or not to allow the appeal will decide on written arguments. In November last year, I attended a Court of Appeals hearing in front of Lord Justice Colson as he heard oral arguments as to whether the post office could appeal the Bates versus Post Office first trial judgment. This was unusual, but Colson stated in that hearing, "I thought in the round it was in the interest of justice to deal with permission application orally. That may have been an oblique acknowledgement of public interest in the case or its complexity. There is certainly a lot of public interest in JD versus NGN, but whether that is enough to hold an oral hearing on the application to appeal, I don't know. If there is to be a hearing, it will happen next year, so you're not going to see anything relatively soon, and the judgment, or more accurately, the reasons to accept the application or to refuse it, will follow days or weeks after that. So just to get to that point where you say that this is allowed or this is not allowed, that's going to take a while. So isn't it interesting, like I say, you've had this kind of struggle just to move forward. You could be denied at any time as you move forward. And the mainstream interests out there, yeah, they promoted this thing like it's all done. JD, though, like I said, he is in it to win it. He is continuing to fight. And like I said at the beginning of this, bravo, man. Bravo. You know, because again, this isn't about celebrity. It's not about celebrity endorsement. I don't particularly like celebrities, but you know what I do like? I like knowing that if somebody puts an accusation out there without substantiation, that you can survive that hit. But anyway, let me know what you think about this stuff, and as always, I appreciate the heck out of you. You make this stuff possible. If you're not subbed to the channel, well, check it out. Make sure you're subbed to it too, because yeah, platform there. You heard the whole spiel before too. Check out the links in the description. We have plenty of them if you want to help out. But you being here, it matters. So thank you. I appreciate you. And we'll see you